Right, well, I did have a project planned for this weekend, but the weather's so atrocious it would just be a failure. You've got to know when you're flogging a dead horse. So, rather than attempt the 6-foot ferro rod challenge with the striker I've just got from Mad Dog Survival, I'm going to make the Olsen Face Mask. Because, as we should know in the UK, from the 15th of this month it will be compulsory to wear face masks in certain areas. So although I have some face masks, they're not washable or technically reusable, whereas the Olsen face mask is, and it's got space for a filter in it, and more importantly it's reproducible. I can make it myself, I can make for the other members of the family and possibly people at work as well. We'll see. So that's the project for today. When we get back, get the dog dried off, get myself dried off, get me breakfast and figure out how to use the sewing machine. Right, I had a project planned for this weekend which would have put me outside, but it's blowing a gale and pouring down, so I can't use the new piece of equipment I got from Mad Dog Survival, which is a striker for my ferro rod. So that's now a future project at this time, and instead I'm going to do something equally if not more important, and that is make a face mask. A reusable face mask, a washable face mask. Not just any face mask, but the Olsen face mask. And I've downloaded instructions and patterns from the internet. And there are already a lot of people that have done YouTube videos on the construction of these masks, because seems sewers in America are making them in quantity for their healthcare service. This is a mask I'm trying to make which is suitable in a healthcare service environment. Certainly in America it's acceptable because you can put filters in it and it's reusable. To think that we're using all this PPE for one use and then shotting it away, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. So the material I'm using is cotton, the sort of stuff you would put in your char cloth tin, and I'm going to cut out 6 pieces, stitch them up, a little bit more work, and then I should have a reusable washable mask. So I'm going to get on and cut out the patterns out of the paper patterns, transfer them to the cloth, cut the pieces of cloth out. I'll get back to you and I'll show you what we've got. So in the pattern you download, there are actually 6 patterns that you need to cut out, but you only really need to cut out 3 of them because you can double your cloth up. So we'll put those aside and we'll just cut these out. Now some of you might say, well, how do I know this is going to be the right size? And I'm assuming this makes a medium mask, and I won't know whether it fits until I've made one and had a look. But if it doesn't fit, let's say for example it's too large, then I'd have to look at my printer and see if I could scale it down on the printer. And if I couldn't scale it down on the printer, then I'd just have to get my pen out and draw it a little bit, you know, like draw a line inside the current line to just bring it down in size a bit. When you download the pattern, there is on the sheet of paper you print it off on also a little test square, and it says it's 1 inch by 1 inch, and I've measured that with a ruler, and it is in fact just shy of 1 inch. So I assume I'm making a mask for a medium sized person. But bearing in mind that because this is the first mask I've made, it's all a learning curve, and it's just like this channel really. Most times I do something, I'm doing it for the first time. And we are in fact all learning together. So what you need for this exercise is a sewing machine, and in my case the instruction manual, pins, scissors, a pen, the material, and for the purposes of keeping things as simple as possible, I'm using different coloured materials for the 3 different elements of the mask. The 3 different elements being the mouth piece, the cheek piece and the face piece. On top of that, you also will need some elastic or some strips of t-shirt to secure it, and some pipe cleaner or wire to make a nose piece, make a sealing around the nose. Right, so what colours are on the outside? I think I'll have it grey on the outside. I'm just using a piece of cotton trouser here. So I just want to cut it away from the seam. So I'm going to double these over, so I get two. So if I double it over like that, make sure there's not a seam anywhere. It's not going to come down on a seam. Then for the face, which will be the outside, I'm going to cut 2 pieces out in the one go, bearing in mind that you've got a left and a right, so you've got to put them together, either, you know, both inners together or both outers together. You can't just stack them one on top of the other if it was 2 pieces. So also as well, another note, a tip which I got through watching the YouTube channels is, make sure you put your pattern on in line with the flow of the weaving, if you like. Don't get it at an angle to the weaving. That's your up and down, the way the writing is written. So your one's pointing up, then get that in line with the weave, so that funny things don't happen and it stretches all different. So all I need to do now is cut these out, and it's that one there. The cheek piece will use grey there, and then I'm going to use a white for the mouthpiece, just so as we can differentiate between the pieces. So I'll get on and cut those out. Right, so now we've cut it out and we've got 2 pieces on each template, the right and the left piece. We can start the sewing process. Now you can follow the instructions that you'll print off with the pattern, or follow a video instruction. Now I'm going to deviate very slightly from the instructions, only slightly in the order that I do it. So this is the 2 mouthpieces. And what we want to do is on side 5 of the mouthpieces we want to fold that edge, remember there's 2 here, fold that edge over just 1/4 inch and sew it. So I'm going to fold it over about 1/4 inch, press it down with my finger. Now if this was patterned on one side, the pattern would be on the inside. Right, now I'm going to have to use the sewing machine, and this is a new thing for me, so things could go astray here. So that's been folded, the pattern's on the other side, remember the pattern would be on this side, so that needs turning over, if it had a pattern on it, and that would turn over there. Now because I've got the iron on here, because I've been flattening this fabric out, it is worth me just nipping across the iron and just flattening those down just to make it easier, especially as I'm not used to sewing. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm just going to sew down these 2 seams just to fold that 1/4 inch back like that. Right, so that's the 2 mouthpieces, and it's the same with the cheek piece, or the cheek pieces, the 2 cheek pieces. We're going to fold number 6 straight edge of number 6 cheek pieces. So that's that, just 1/4 inch. It's not critical, these measurements are not critical. I say that, I don't know what I'll get until we've made the mask. I might have to make modifications. So again, that folds over and folds the other way. And I'll just press those 2 down with the iron, and then we'll sew all 4 along those seams just to keep that, stabilise that. Right, this sewing machine is very complicated. I've got a foot pedal down here, and when it boots up it always comes up on the 0-1 setting, and that's not what I want it on. So I've got to refer to the instructions here. I want it on the 0-2 setting. Yeah, 0-2 setting. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I want 0-0 on that bit, which we've got, and I want about 3.5 on that bit there. That's the mode, that's the width, and that's the length of the. Anyway, your machine will be different. Hopefully it'll be a bit simpler. But there we've got the settings set, so we'll just I'll just run a piece of cloth through and see what happens. So that was a practice, first practice. Now we're ready to sew. So goes in there, put it down, and away we go. So this is, what's this piece we're doing? This is the cheek piece we're doing. So we're sewing that fold we did on the cheek piece, hopefully. So I'm just going slow because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'll go backwards a bit here just to stabilise the stitch. take it out. Now then, on these cheek pieces there'll be a little tab sticking out because you folded it over on a curve. So we're just going to cut them bits off. A lot of this is going to get sewn over again later. I'll just cut my straggly ends off. And now I've practiced my sewing, we'll just get on and do the other cheek piece and the two mouthpieces. So I'll just get on and do those and then we'll get back to you. Okay, so we've got those folded edges sewn on the mouthpiece and the cheek pieces. Now what I have found out is I've made the cheek piece out of a bit too flimsy material, sorry, the mouthpiece, and it's sort of rocking up when it's been sewn, but we're gonna press on. And I'm taking the mouthpieces now and I'm taking the two pieces and I'm putting them together so the folds are on the outsides, and now I'm going to sew all the way down that long curved edge. So I'm just going to sew that up. Again, it's good to be accurate, but you don't have to be too accurate. Right. Well, we've lost it there. Let's just go back. Oh, we've lost it. I've gone off course. I don't need the scissors, do I? Alright. We're getting there. I definitely start losing it on my back stitching. So I may have to get the needle and cotton out yet. Okay, so the next one is the face. And we've just done that large curve on the mouthpiece on that fairly flimsy material. This should go a little bit better. It's a bit better material. These are the two face pieces, so we're going to sew that around the curve as well. A bit better material to sew with because it's a bit thicker. Right, so this is where it all gets a bit confusing, so you might want to come in a bit. So this is the face mask, this is the two faces, and this is the part you'd look at if it was on your face. This is the outside. So this seems very confusing, this, but then you take the mouthpiece and you put the mouthpiece with the right side against the right side over that like that, and I'm going to need some pins here. You've got two seams, you've got this seam on the outside and you've got another seam there. If I turn it over, it's on the outside. Try and get that seam going that way and this seam going that way and pin the two together. Like that. So you've got that seam going that way, that seam going that way, and pin the two together. Right, so it stopped recording there again on its own. Okay, so we've got the face piece, the mouth piece on, and if we take the cheek pieces and see, they'll fit really well one particular way. Seam on facing you. So if I put that on there, I don't think it would fit. No, it does fit. In fact, it might even fit even better, so we'll leave that there. And we'll put that there. And if you put this end of the cheek piece aligned with this end of the face piece, you'll see it does overlap here, and it's meant to overlap there. So we'll pin that in place. Right, I'm probably putting these pins in the wrong way. It's going to make it awkward taking them out when I'm sewing, but as I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, I'll just carry on regardless. Now don't forget, this is the first one I've ever done, so I'm showing you how hard it'll be first time around and not necessarily explaining it well or the best way. But if I can do it, you can do it. So I've never used a sewing machine before either. Your first one, the prototype, is just the teaching before you make the real thing. Right. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew along the top and the bottom, or the bottom and the top seams, without crashing into any pins, hopefully. So that's it inside out, and I've stitched it along the top and the bottom, and now I'm just going to turn it the right way round. So we'll start at one end, we'll go all the way in there. Right in the corners. Well, it's starting to look something like, isn't it? Hey? Starting to look something like. So you've got the two mouth pieces inside, the two cheek pieces, and the face, the outer face. Yes, it's a bit lacking there, isn't it? A bit lacking there. We've missed something there. Might have to do some repairs. It's going to go around like that. So that is going to look something like I can easily breathe through it. There's no filter in it yet, but I can easily breathe, and I am breathing through the material. So there's your pockets. The pockets in there for the filter. But there's a couple of things we haven't done yet. We haven't got elastics on to hold it round my ears. So I suspect that gets folded over like that and sewed. And then gets folded over so you've got a bit of a loop. So let's just lock that seam down. Now then, these wings, I'm just turning them round and I'm going to sew them down, so I'll leave a loop there. Now ordinarily you would put them hair elastics through and they would clip onto your ears, but they're a bit severe, I think. So we're just going to sew that down, leaving a gap so we can put a piece of Right, well, I've had to deploy my close range glasses here to rethread the needle because I snapped the cotton. But as you can see, we're almost there. There are two things missing at the moment. One are the straps to hold it onto the back of my head. I don't want it on my ears. You can't have a mask on all day long with it pulling on your ears. So I'm just going to put cordage through there so as I can tie it around the back of my head. And I want, although it does fit well and I don't necessarily need something to form around my nose, I just want a channel in that top section there so I can push a, it would be a pipe cleaner, but I don't have any pipe cleaners, but I do have copper wire, so I'm just going to use some copper wire. Now I'm a bit worried that if I try and sew that channel in, I've left it a bit thick on that top seam there, and I've already snapped the cotton once. So I'm not going to put a wire piece in on this one. I'm just going to leave it as it is and just put the straps in. So we'll just see how that goes. So this in itself is a fully legal mask for these measures that are going to come in on the 15th. And you've got, without a filter in it, you've got 2 layers of material. But then you can put a filter inside to whatever thickness you want. I am struggling a little bit with these ties. They're a bit long, that's why. That's the main reason. Let's just snap them off a bit. Right, so that's the mask as it is now then, with ties on it. Put them, get them tie, get the first tie above my ears. Just tie it in a shoelace type knot. It's not not very easy doing it on your own. So if I get them ones above my ears, get the next one around the back of my neck. Another shoelace knot. Then that's quite a comfortable fit. I haven't got the nose wire in because I've snapped the needle. I'll have to sew a channel by hand for that. I can breathe reasonably easy. I can feel it on my ears a little bit, so the angles of these side pieces need thinking about. But for the Mark 1 and something just to put in my bag, to go into the shops and things, if you had to go into a hospital you have to wear one, lots of other areas you have to wear them, and certainly it stops my breath from spreading out. So if everybody wore them, then your risk of contagion would be vastly reduced, I think. You can still hear what I'm saying, I would think, and I can breathe easily. If I'm wearing glasses, I don't think the glasses, especially if I've got the wire piece in, I don't think the glasses are going to steam up at all. So certainly the Mark II will be better. Now I know what I'm doing, and I'll take a little bit more time. So especially in every country, I would say now, this is something you should be thinking about, because it's cheap to make, it's easy to make, it's reasonably quick if you know what you're doing, and more importantly, it's washable. You can wash it every day. You're not contributing to all this waste. I haven't got my other mask here, but once they get done, that's it. And it stores because of that naturally bends in half there, so it stores well. Put it in your pocket. So, face masks. It's not the project I planned for today, but I think it's probably more important, and I'll catch you in a week or so.